It is July 30th, 2019. This is episode 5 of Roostertail Talk. I'm your host, David Newton, and this is part 1 of a 2-part Columbia Cup special. For this episode, we got a chance to interview with Brian Perkins, and we talked about life, hydroplanes, and somehow even time travel. But we're also going to talk about the RC hydroplanes that race every year in the pond behind the pits at the Columbia Cup. I got a chance to interview the race winners of the RC Unlimited's Columbia Cup. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Roostertail Talk. All right, well, welcome back to Roostertail Talk. I'm sitting here in I'm really thankful to be sitting here in an air-conditioned motorhome with Brian Perkins. Brian, how are you doing?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rough go today, but doing all right.
Yeah. We might have to make this a much longer interview to stay in this air-conditioned
Yeah.
RV. It's a good excuse, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so no one else can bother Brian right now.
Yeah.
All right, well, came over here with a brand new boat. Very exciting. I saw the christening on the docks there, and had a couple of unfortunate events there. Can you kind of talk about what happened? I saw it didn't spool up for you.
Yeah. So, this boat, it's a beautiful boat. It's been 10 years in construction, off and on. So Greg and Brian, they'd work on it for a month or two in the wintertime, and then they'd focus their efforts, whether it be labor, financial efforts, on the 21, which was our current running boat.
Yeah.
And then we'd go another year, and then it'd come time in the off season, we'd work a little bit on the new boat, and then start working on the race boat.
Yeah.
And so we've done that on and off for, 10 years.
Has it really been 10 years?
10 years. When I first started driving for Greg in 2009, he laid the bottom on the jig.
Wow.
So, yeah, when we were running the Navy boat, he laid the first panels, or Dale Van Weerden laid the first panels on the jig. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I think we've had Dale, Ron Jones, Mike Hansen, a lot of people that work under those guys all working on this boat, plus all of the 21 team, past and present.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who have had a hand in this thing, so I think it's kind of cool, and I know everybody that has had a helping hand is excited to see the thing go around the race course.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, man, I didn't realize it was that long. Since the starting.
Well, and then we didn't make testing.
Yeah.
Because the boat wasn't ready, and then there was an opportunity to maybe get in with the Alberto thing when they ran on Lake Washington.
Right.
Okay. We weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
We got it. The guys, they got the stuff, but it was a struggle right to the end.
Yeah.
So we get here, and we wanted to be one of the first boats out. That didn't work. Got it in the water, fired the boat, got away from the dock, and the thing started to despool. It was a fuel issue.
Okay.
We weren't quite sure what was going on, but I couldn't get it relit, so I had to get towed in. Missed that section, made it out for the second section. Boat ran pretty dang well. Little flighty on the right side.
You'd say it looked a little loose out there, but it looked nice out there.
Yeah.
A couple of good laps.
Yep. So that was all good. But then I think on the 5th lap, the trap door opened, and up the back stretch, we came around the turn 2 up there, and came down the front stretch. Tried to grab it, but I couldn't reach it, and coming in, as I slowed down, it started to slap the bottom of the cockpit really hard. And as I slowed down more, it kept slapping even harder, and then finally it just ripped off. So we have lost the trap door.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom of the Columbia River. Hopefully, the divers are going to dive at 5:30-ish as soon as the course closes.
Yeah.
Try to go find it. The problem that we have right now is that trap door is one of 2 kinds. So there's only 2 of them out there that are that style.
Okay.
One's on the new Home Street boat, one's on our boat. There might be one maybe on the 22 boat in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Which isn't being used, which is good, but it doesn't help us out for this weekend.
No.
So where we're at right now is we can hopefully find the one that's on the bottom. And if we can find it, we can repair it and put it back on.
Yeah.
The other one is going to be either make a new one, and that's an option, or maybe the 22 guys have one that they could loan us and we could replace or something. I don't know, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We can't run without it, obviously.
No.
And hopefully we can find it.
Yeah. And Home Street didn't take theirs off to offer that to you, right?
No. And I would bet that after this, they'd probably be making a spare.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Definitely.
I mean, right now they have, as far as we believe, the only one that you can get right now.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah. It's one of those things you don't really think about until something like this happens. I guess.
And each trap door also is it's custom fit to each boat, because you start with the trap door when you make that bottom tray of the cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
So you lay up the bottom door, and you put the bottom door back into the mold, and then lay the cockpit up around that. So even though you might find another door, it might not fit perfect, and so you have to grind it, fit it, and make it work.
All right.
So we'll see. The best case scenario is to find that other one.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a bright color. I didn't see what color it was.
The bottom is neon orange. The top is primer gray. The inside is primer gray.
Hopefully it's orange up.
Hopefully it's orange up.
Yeah. All right. So was your plan originally to run this in Tri-Cities and then also run it in Seattle?
That was the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, plans may be changing.
Yeah, well, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. Well, hopefully everything works out. It was kind of sad to see that result for you on day one, but...
it's not the start we wanted,
no.
But we did get some good data. We learned a lot just in the one run, and so we can definitely improve the next time.
All right. Well, part of this podcast is kind of talking about memories with hydroplanes, and I know you grew up around this area, and it's been part of your life for probably your whole life, or most of it at least.
Yeah, all my life. Yeah,
so,
I've been to every seafair since I was born.
Yeah. All right. Well, can you share some kind of highlight memories for yourself, or and also kind of how you got involved more and more with the sport?
Yeah. So I don't know if I have one specific early memory. I have lots. My parents volunteered at the Seattle Seafair race, and they have a boat, so they would be a turn judge when I was around. They did other stuff prior to that, but when I was born, they were turn judging. So they go out in the middle of the race course in one of the turn buoys and hook up, and then the judges would come out with the flags. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I grew up with, and we'd basically live on the boat in the pits all Seafair weekend. Mm-hmm. So the crews would leave, and we'd get to go wander around the pits, and and as soon as I could get up in the morning, I wanted to go out and talk to the crew, see if I could get buttons or pins or get an autograph from a driver or this or that, But I grew up idolizing the sport, like kind of all of us do.
Yeah. Like myself.
Yeah. And my dad was always good friends with Bill Wooster, who owned the Tide, Lumar, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the winter of '99 and 2000, he had fired his crew and was kind of looking for a fresh start. And Dad said, well, if you need a hand, we can come down, we can sweep the floor, we can help you put stuff away. It was right after their last race of the season. Yeah. And I said, yeah, come on down. So we started going down, and I couldn't get enough, just to be in the shop and work in the shop. And my dad was kind of like, this is great, but I want to go do other things. Yeah. So Bill offered, he says, well, Brian can just stay with me at my house. I'll just watch him for the weekend. We'll go down to the boat shop. And so, we, one thing led to another. And then I was lucky enough, I got to go on the road with them for that season and was hooked,
Yeah, very cool.
So,
Cool. Well, since you were kind of a big Hydro fan and geek growing up like
Still
I
am.
was.
Still am.
Well, we still are. We never grew up. Who was your favorite team growing up?
I had a lot.
Driver.
I had a lot. I liked George Woods in the '92 Merlin powered Oboe Alberto. That was one of my favorites. George Woods Jr. in the Tide. I was always a Wooster fan, obviously, from the relationship with my dad. Yeah. I liked the two-wing boat. So anybody who drove a Jones two-wing, the X-side, the Coors Dry,
T+.
Yep, T+. Yeah. I was always a big fan of those. I just thought they looked cool.
Yeah.
But all of them. I really was fascinated by when the 4-point ELAM came out. It was different, something that you don't see.
Right.
So stuff like that, the real innovative stuff that people would come out with and try.
Yeah.
Which people don't really do that anymore, other than the 440. Which big fan of the 440. They're great.
Yeah. But that was a fun time in the early '90s when people were trying new designs, 2 wings, 4-point, like you said.
Yeah. Automotive boats.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool, unique things happening there. All right. Well, now you're part of the Miss Rock fraternity.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? How's that been for you so far? I know you've been doing some PR stuff for them.
It's cool. It's funny. I knew that the Miss Rock had a following. Yeah. But I didn't realize how big it is. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows the Miss Rock. I mean, other than the Budweiser, at least in Seattle.
Right.
If it's not, but everybody knows Miss Rock. Mm-hmm. You know, most people know Atlas Van Lines and a few others, but everybody knows Miss Rock. Their reputation is not very good. I have found out.
But they know of it.
They know of it. And yeah, so hopefully we can change his reputation a little bit. I know Aaron Salmon last year did a great job. Yeah. You know, with what he had to work with, he did a phenomenal job and represented them well. And they speak very highly of Aaron and the team last year. Okay. The Miss Rock guys. So that was kind of cool to hear because I felt the same. I thought they did a great job. But we're excited for this year. The guys are great. It's been a fun couple weeks, months, I guess, since we signed the deal. But cool. We're looking forward to Seattle for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. That one event you had, there was a concert you went to.
Yeah.
It was like a Motley Crue.
Yep.
What do you call that?
Cover band.
Cover band.
Yeah.
It looked like a lot of fun. I wanted to go that, but I had an RC race that day, so
damn it.
Didn't go home in time. So that would have been pretty cool.
It was fun. It was a lot. There were a lot of people out. I guess it was. White Center Jubilee Days or something like that. So there a lot of people. But yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, and cool. They do a lot of promotional stuff, which, you know, I think our sport needs a lot more of.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They definitely know how to do it.
Oh yeah.
So, but it was cool.
Yeah, rock on.
That's right.
Rock on. All right. Well, I know you've raced a lot of different classes over the years. Where you were driving Unlimited Lights.
Yeah.
What else what are you driving right now?
Nothing.
Just Unlimiteds?
Just Unlimiteds, yeah.
Okay.
So we used to 1 liter was kind of my class that I really fell in love with, and I started there, got away from it, and then kind of got back into it. Mm-hmm. We ran at one point. We ran 3 boats in the class, and I don't know. They're small enough boats they can fit in a normal garage. Yeah. One guy can pretty much do everything on them. So we did most of the stuff myself, or we'd loan a boat out and he would be able to take care of it.
Or was that class pretty cost efficient for?
At the time, yeah. When we got into it, I mean, you could buy a turnkey setup for like $15-20 grand, and that would be a really competitive boat. Which for a racing vehicle is pretty affordable. Yeah. You could get into one for a lot less and do a little work and probably be competitive. Yeah. But what's happened now in that class is that they've allowed these bigger 2-stroke engines, and it's basically an open class, so you can do anything you want. Yeah. So when we started, you couldn't run 2-stroke. Then they allowed them, and when we were basically running stock stuff. You could pick up an engine for like $3 grand. Okay. To $1,500, and if you knew how to work on it, then you could bring it up to the $3 grand level. Yeah. But now a competitive engine is going to be $6,000 to $10,000. Okay. And so it has become not cost effective. Yeah. That's too bad. So we've gotten out of it. I sold the boat. A guy named Ben Black bought it out of Spokane. Okay. And then he sold it. My father-in-law actually bought it, and so it kind of came home more or less. And now Gunnar O'Farrell, Brian O'Farrell's son, has it, and he's going to fix it up and he's going to run it. Oh, cool. Yeah. I don't know if it'll hit the water this year. He's trying, but next year for sure.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what's been your favorite class to race? I know you've had experience.
Probably 1 liter. Yeah. And the only reason, I don't know if it would be 1 liter now or 1 liter back like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There was a time when it was like you were going to the go-kart track with your buddies. Mm-hmm. The boats were super light. They had a lot of acceleration. Okay. They were all fairly evenly matched. Yeah. And our group, we had a great time. Yeah. We'd have a barbecue together, our class would, and it'd be like, hey, you're bringing this, you're bringing that. We all get together, and
that's really fun.
And that made it fun.
Oh yeah.
And so I would say that time period in that class, it's still a fun class today. Yeah. I think it could get back to that. We just have to see.
Yeah. That'd be really cool if it does.
Yeah. 2.5 liter, from what I understand, is kind of like that now. Okay. And the engine rules have changed since I've been involved, so they have a bigger engine or a faster engine. Okay. So it may be like 1 liter was, but I just haven't been around it the last few years.
We'll check it out. Then,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about race courses that you've been around, because I know you've. So how many years have you raced in Unlimiteds now? It's been since
2000. Well, I started in 2007 here with the Freedom guys. Okay. We ran here in Seattle. That's right. Seattle, we blew a gearbox up right away. and then San Diego we blew gearbox up right away.
Yeah.
So we only had the one race, I guess, really that year.
Yeah.
And then I picked up with Greg in 2009. I've been with him ever since. So
okay. I forgot about that 2007. So I was going to say 2009, so it's been 10 years. But yeah. Okay. So I know you've gone on a lot of race courses around the United States. Unfortunately, they're not on too many of those right now. But what was one of your favorite courses to go to? You always look forward to going to that course for whatever reason.
I've always liked Seattle because it's home.
Yeah.
It's a challenging race course because it's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's home, and that's where I watched. Dad would record all the Seafair races, the live TV days. So, I used to watch those. I'd come home from school, I'd put the tape in, and I'd just watch, And so I always felt like I was familiar with that race course even before I really drove a boat on it. Like I knew, about the Genesee Gap and
the parallel rollers,
and where stuff gets soupy and versus another one. So I've always liked Seattle. San Diego's always been a fun one because it's fast.
Yeah.
It's calm, unless you get 6 boats out there. Yeah. And you're behind.
Yeah, it's never calm. It's never calm at that point.
Yeah.
It's never calm at that point.
And it's San Diego, so who doesn't like San Diego?
Oh, yeah. It's a great reason to go down there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very cool. Oh, I was talking to Jeff Bernard in our last interview, and we're talking about theme songs. It'd be kind of cool if every driver, when they go out on the course, they have a theme song. I don't know if you go to Mariners games.
Yeah.
Like when the batters come out, they have a theme song.
Yep.
What would your theme song be?
There's one that my wife and we've got. I can't remember what it is. It's called "Get Loud for Me." I don't remember the artist, but the Vancouver Canucks used it as a opening deal when the team came out on the ice.
Okay, I gotcha.
NHL team in Canada, and I like it. It's kind of one of those upbeat, like maybe a workout song kind of thing. Get you pumped up.
All right.
But definitely, I think the sport needs to somehow implement music into its schedule. I mean, everything you go to nowadays has music, and it's what keeps fans' attention. It's what keeps our attention, and you have to implement music, I think, to make this sport grow. Yeah. So how they're going to do it, I don't know, but they need to do it, in my opinion.
All right. Well, we'll pass the word along.
Sounds good. Yeah. Do what you can. Do what you can.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, I know you're in your free time you do some RC boating. Yeah. Right. So I've been around that my whole life.
Sure. Yeah.
I think you've been picking that up a little bit more in the past few years. What kind of boats have you been running?
What we started out with, my father-in-law bought these boats from China. They're little, like 24-inch boats. They've got a 3100 kV. I think it's a 28 or 2848 little electric motor. 60 speed control. Use I think they're 11.1 milliamp, and I don't know if they're 3000 milliamp. But they're 11.1 volt. Okay. So they're smaller stuff from what you guys use. But we take all that and basically use that as guts. Yeah. And then we'll buy either run that hull that comes from China. Yeah. It's a little abstract looking, but it's cool. Yeah. Or I've been buying MRP boats off of eBay. Yeah. Where I've got one that's like a Blue Bayou boat. That I got from the guy in California. A couple other hulls, but they're 24 inches anyway. And we take those guts, we put it in those hulls, and they run pretty good. Yeah. And batteries are cheap, and motors are cheap, and
it's really inexpensive. I mean, the price has gone down so much over the years. Yeah. And the technology just improved dramatically. Yeah.
So we can buy that boat out of China for on eBay or Amazon for $130, $140. Oh yeah. And then you can get a hull for, if it's just a hull, depending on what shape it's in, you can get them for $50. You can get them for $200 if they're, if it's the Budweiser and it's just perfect. You're going to pay more for it. But you could be into one for a couple $300.
Yeah, it's really cost effective. Compared to 1 liter.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah. Well, but even the boats you guys run, they're awesome. But shoot, one guy was telling me it's like $80 for a set of batteries.
Well, that's for one.
Oh, it's for one. Excuse me. All right.
But for a pair, it's about closer to 200.
And that's one.
Depending on what class you run.
Okay, and that's one run, scale. Right?
Yeah, that's one run.
Yeah.
So it's like $200 for the set for that, but you only need a couple more of those.
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah. So they're so cool. I've always loved RC stuff, especially RC hydroplanes. Oh yeah. And totally geek out on that stuff. And one of these days,
Well, that's my next question. Yeah. When are you going to race with us?
One of these days. So I have an 8 scale Navy boat. It was a gas boat.
Yeah.
It's just a shell.
Yeah.
And I've tossed around the idea of converting that to.
Okay.
I would go electric. You know, a lot of guys are like, "Oh, you got to go gas," because that's what it is.
It's getting more popular.
Yeah.
We had 18 FE electrics at our first races here.
Okay.
So
I feel like you can go run them anywhere. People don't care.
Yeah.
The gas boats, if you go take them to a pond or a lake, people get pissed off
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're loud and noisy.
I go down and test at Coolon Park in Renton,
Yeah.
and I take my electric, and
Nobody cares.
nobody cares. Some people come by and ask me questions, but
Yeah.
haven't anyone complained about that.
Right.
I know if I brought my nitro boat that was like 90 whatever DPs,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be there very
Yeah.
long. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I got a shop open with a bench space, so if you need
Yeah.
some help with that,
You know,
can
and I
bring it
think
over.
that's because it's addicting, right?
Oh yeah. it
Okay.
is.
Yeah. So
Oh, it is.
I ended up buying all these hulls, and I bought all this stuff,
Yeah.
and now I'm to the point where I'm starting to get rid of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got what I've got. I've got 4 or 5 of the hulls that run of the pro boats. But yeah, for me right now it's time. So
Oh yeah.
maybe I could talk to somebody and to say, hey, I got the boat. If you could set it up,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Well, you got my number now. So
I do.
text or-
Yeah.
yeah. Or we got spare boats too. So if you ever want to just be a guest driver,
Yeah, that might work
yeah.
out too.
Pay's not the same. So we
Then-
don't pay you anything to come out and do this.
Oh,
But-
wow. Yeah. You think this is a profitable sport out there? Yeah, I think all boat racing pays the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, I would love to. It's just we got to get the time and
That is
I need to
key.
get a schedule and but I would
Yeah.
love to. I think that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to secret. I'm a school teacher because it gives me summers off, so it gives me time to do this.
That's
stuff.
the perfect boat
So,
racing job.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Yeah. I didn't manage to do that. My mom
Right.
did.
Yeah. Well, I got a kind of a out there question for you.
Yeah.
So I like to talk about like hypotheticals all the time. Me and my wife, what if you win the lottery? What if this happens? What are you gonna do?
Sure.
But if my wife actually came up with this question, like
Okay.
if you could time travel and go to any year in the past and choose a boat, and you kick that driver out of the seat, and you get to race that boat, what would that be for you?
You know, it's an interesting question because there's so many.
Oh yeah.
You know, I would want to be one of the guys that was driving something innovative for the first time, like the Turbo Pay Pack. I think that would be super fun. You know.
Well, I don't know if
No-
you'll go the first time though.
Well, I understand. I understand
That.
it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe with the knowledge, that wouldn't happen.
hindsight,
Yeah.
you'd go,
Yeah.
maybe not the smartest move.
Yeah.
Or at least Walters would probably tell you that.
Yeah.
But that or like the bubble butt, the Griffin bubble butt.
Yeah.
First one in on the enclosed cockpitter,
Yeah.
or the Light All Star, something like that that is new, state of the art, and but yet still a historical boat. I think that would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we'll ever make that happen, but it's
Yeah.
fun,
Well,
it's fun
if
to
you ever
dream.
do, yeah,
it's fun
exactly.
to dream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's the future of your team here? Where do you guys see yourselves going? Are you going to be in San Diego this year? Or how's next year look for you?
At this point, Seattle is it for 2019.
Yeah.
There might be some things in the works, but you know how it goes with boat racing.
It's all secret right now.
Yeah, and like I say, one day we're going one direction, the other day we're going another, and that's every team, I think.
Yeah.
But
that's racing in general.
exactly. Yeah. So I don't know what 2020 will hold for Go Fast Turn Left. I think Greg has got a lot of things on his mind.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But it is a great team.
Yeah.
And, I think with both boats, if we go to the other boat for Seattle, we know what it does. It should be, as competitive as it has been in the past, which is okay.
Yeah.
And both boats would basically be ready to run, so it would put him in a good position.
Yeah.
I want to run this boat in Seattle if we
Of
can
course,
figure out
yeah.
a way to do that. But either way, he's going to have 2 boats sitting there.
Okay.
He has talked that maybe he would put one up for sale, maybe.
Okay.
But you never know. That's his gig, and he's the boss. So.
Yeah. Well, it'll be cool to see both boats out there, right? More boats.
Yeah,
more
and I don't,
competition.
I don't know that that's out of the question either. If the
Yeah.
right opportunity presented itself to go fast turn left, I think the opportunity could be there.
Right.
But it's totally up to Brian and Greg and the O'Farrell family to decide what they want to do. So really, they're the only ones that can answer any future questions.
Right. Okay. Well, there's the next podcast for us, I guess.
Sounds good. Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes into it, right? Sponsorships, money, and
it takes dollars.
Stuff, so.
You know, that's the big thing. Is it takes dollars. They're very expensive things to operate.
Yeah.
The infrastructure involved to go to a race is huge. You know, it costs H1 a lot of money to do this. So everybody understands that. It does. You know, it would take financial backing, fair amount, financial backing to run both boats. Because it takes a fair amount to run one.
Right.
So we'll see. But I believe that if he had 2 separate high-dollar sponsors, he would absolutely do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think anybody with 2 boats would.
Right, yeah. Well, here's to hoping.
That's right. Here's to hoping.
All right. Well, it doesn't look any cooler out there.
Yeah.
I think we're just staying here for another hour or
yeah,
so.
Well, it is coming up on the Dash for Cash, though.
Yeah, we should probably go and watch that.
Yep, got to support the guys. Should be fun. It's a 5-lapper with 4 boats, 4 top boats.
So. Oh, wow. They're doing 5 full laps?
5 full laps.
Oh, very cool. All right. Well, I really appreciate, Brian, you taking the time out of your busy schedule. And
my pleasure.
And talking with us and sharing some stories.
Yeah.
And,
we'll have to do it again.
I think so. We'll have to do an update this winter or fall or something. And
we'll be around. Just let
me know. And we'll update everyone on your RC boat and how that's going.
Yeah, definitely. We will. Do you guys do any winter testing? Do you guys ever go out? Or does anybody ever just go out and like get a bunch of dudes together and go...
Every once in a while.
With your boats?
Every once in a while. It's harder on the west side.
Yeah.
Because like over here in Tri-Cities, they have... like the pond over here, or they have down in Findlay, they have a spot that they can go year round, as long as it's not frozen over.
Right.
And they can go out whenever, but it's harder to find a good spot in the Seattle area because of restrictions. Okay. We can go down to Tacoma or Marysville often, but there is a club that they do some test sessions like around January, February, even in November time. So I'll let you know.
Please do.
So
be
awesome.
fun.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good luck. Hopefully everything works out tomorrow for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Brian's a great guy, and I really appreciated him taking the time to talk with me in that interview. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed talking hydroplane history with another hydroplane geek. It's always fun to be able to do that. If you're a hydroplane fan out there like me, you don't always get that chance, especially when you're not around the racetrack. But that was a lot of fun, and I hope that we can do another interview this fall or this winter and talk about the progress of their hulls and what's going on with their team. That'd be a lot of fun. That interview took place Friday afternoon before the Dash for Cash in Tri-Cities. And that morning, I was there in the pits early and saw them take the Payne West insurance out. And that was the early morning test session. And that was a busy test session. I think I counted all 8 boats on the docks when they opened the water, and they had 2 boats that were waiting to be slung on the cranes to go on the water. That was pretty exciting to witness that. But it was really cool to see them christen the boat. They had the boat on the water there. They had it on the sling, and they popped the champagne bottle and christened their new craft that took a decade to build. I didn't remember it actually took that long to build. I was talking to my wife about it because we went to their shop about 5 years ago. I had some friends from New Zealand come up and they got toured around the boat and sat in it, and that was I can't remember that was that long ago. But I was glad to see it out. It's always fun to see a boat being christened, but it's kind of a bummer to see that in that morning test session they tried to go out and they couldn't get it on a plane, and it was a no-go. So it was a lot of excitement and hype for the boat to go out and just to not happen. But luckily they were able to get it back together, and they were able to make the afternoon test or the later test session that morning. And I was on the beach for that, and I could see the whole course when they're running. It actually looked pretty good out there. It looked like it was a little bit loose, though. It looked like the right sponson was lifting off, and they had some kind of water issues on hitting the skid fin brackets, but otherwise it looked like it was running good, and it's kind of a good first run for him until he was coming back and that he lost that escape hatch. And that's something a lot of fans probably don't know of or think about, but they drivers have to have an escape hatch on the bottom of where they're sitting, because if they ever go over in a flip, they're protected with that enclosed canopy. But if they're upside down, the easiest way for the rescue crew to get to them is when they drive over there on their boats, is to pop that hatch in the bottom and then pull them out. And so that's a really important part of the craft. And it's also easier for the driver to get out. Say he's flipped, and he's conscious, and he's fine. He can unstrap himself in the cockpit. He can push it open and actually escape himself. If you look back, I remember 2 seafarers that this happened. It's 1997. Mark Evans, if you watch footage on YouTube, so I don't remember what heat that was in. I think that was the second round or something. But Mark Evans was going up in the north turn, and he flipped over, landed upside down, and before the rescue crew could even get to him, he was out. He opened the escape hatch. You could see his legs wiggle through, almost like it was the Hydro was giving birth to a hydroplane driver. And he wiggled through and popped out, and he was on the deck before the rescue crew could even get to him. And so it's important for them to be able to get out quick. Even for another reason is the cockpit fills up with water pretty quickly. When they're upside down, the whole capsule fills with the lake water. It's not watertight. The drivers do have an oxygen mask that they can wear, but you never know. There could be an issue with that, and if you're stuck upside down underwater, you could potentially drown. And there's been several drivers who have come close to that over the years, unfortunately. It's important. It's an important thing to have, but it also adds another risk to it. Brian was very fortunate and lucky that in doing so in that accident on Friday of the Columbia Cup, when the escape hatch fell and sunk off, all that water coming up didn't injure him more than it did. He seemed actually normal and just fine talking to him that afternoon, which was amazing, because it's a lot of hydraulic pressure and force that was put onto him. So it doesn't feel good at all. Chip Hanauer, he had that happen to him twice in the 90s. I believe it was 93, 94, where he was driving his boat and the escape hatch fell off, just like Brian did last weekend. But Chip didn't get out of it so easily. I think he described it as basically a brick wall hitting you at 100 miles an hour. You think water's soft and gentle and dangerous, but when you're going over 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, and that water comes at you at that speed, it's basically concrete at that speed. So when that water gets forced up into the cockpit, when you're going that fast, it doesn't feel good. In fact, Chip had to sit out the 1994 Gold Cup and miss it because the escape hatch came off. It did enough damage to him that he wasn't able to perform to his fullest. He had to sit out and let Mike Hansen substitute for him. So it's not a joke. It's a serious matter, and there's a million and one things that can go wrong on these boats, and it's dangerous and risky. But we have a lot of safety measures to keep them safe. But when they fail, unfortunately, they can do damage as well. So it's not just flips or those obvious crashes that we see that can do damage. Anyways, talking with Brian, I really appreciate it again, Brian. It was a lot of fun talking with you, and I really hope that we can get your Navy 1/8 scale together. I meant it when I said I'd help you, Brian. So if you're listening, you got my number. Give me a call, and we can get that out for you next year and mess around with. That'd be a lot of fun. Well, speaking of RC hydroplanes, let's take a listen on this. All right, you just heard the sound of a nitro-powered 1/8 scale hydroplane being started and carried to the water. it's a fun sound. It's a very familiar sound to me. I've been racing RC hydroplanes since since the early 90s. I started racing with the RC Unlimiteds in 96 with nitro-powered boats, but I started with electric-powered boats before that, and I've been racing majority of my life. I guess I've been racing 25 years in some form of RC hydroplane. But RC Unlimiteds, they've been racing since the late 1970s in the pond behind the pits there in Tri-Cities at the Columbia Cup. And every year they come out there and they race their boats that are built and painted to every scale detail that they can have possible that would be on the real boats. The guys take a lot of pride in replicating those boats and making them look pristine and scale. And that doing so, it helps preserve some of the history. But it's fun to see some of your favorite boats out there that maybe not be, well, you can't see them anymore. You'll go out to a race and you can see boats of hydroplane past. You could see in one race, you could see the 2012 Valken racing alongside the 72 Notre Dame, the 69 Payne Pack, the 88 Miller High Life, and the 94 Budweiser racing on the water together. It's pretty fun, and they have the same racing rules as H1 does. Boats can get penalized for jumping the gun, missing a buoy, having a lane infraction. They take it seriously, serious racing. It doesn't matter how big the boat is. If you're racing it, it's a serious game. And they have 4 different classes that they race. They race models that are 1/8 scale, that are powered with nitro-powered engines. They have 1/8 scale electric-powered boats. They also have a bigger 1/6 scale gasoline-powered engine, and they also have a smaller, slower class that has 1/10 scale electric-powered. But they had a great race on Saturday, and I want to catch up with some of the winners and listen in on my interviews with Dave Brandt and Rob Brackett. I'm talking with Dave Brandt, the Saturday RC Unlimited's 1/8 scale champion. He won the Columbia Cup for RC Unlimiteds with his 8 scale. And Dave, what?
6 scale.
Oh, also 6 scale. So what models are you racing?
So in 6 scale, I'm running the 82 Gilmore. And in 1/8 scale nitro, I run the 78 U64 Squire Shop. I've been running, so a funny story with the Squire Shop is I started out back in 1996, and that was the second boat I bought from a gentleman that lived over in Vancouver. And then as the years went on, I ran the 95 Pico for a lot of years, almost as most I can remember. And then here 25 years later, I wanted to build another boat that I kind of had some ties to, and it was that 78 Squire Shop. So I put that together. I've been running it the last 3 years. And I was able to, the first year with it, I won a championship. And then this year, that was my second race one with it here in the Tri-Cities.
And how many boats did you compete against yesterday?
We had 43 boats yesterday, and I think 24 nitro and 8 1/6 scale gas boats.
So it's pretty competitive then.
It was a great day, and the boats have really come along in the last 5 years or so. And every heat is like a final these days. Every boat is super fast. The driving is incredible. It's just a really good group of guys to come out and race their model boats of Unlimited and be an enthusiast.
Yeah. And what makes you do this
You know, what really makes me do it is spending time with my father. So we decided when I was a lot younger, he was trying to get me into stuff that we were going to do to keep me safe, essentially. We started playing with 4-wheelers and doing that stuff, and we both kind of learned pretty quickly that one of us was going to get pretty badly hurt doing that. So we got into radio-controlled cars, which then evolutionized into airplanes, which then came into boats. And the boats have just stuck with us, and the RC Unlimiteds is just a family that we're able to hang out with, and everybody just has a great time. And so, but a lot of it's just spending time with my father and being able to do this with him and share this time with him.
All right, most excellent. So if there's anyone around the area that's interested in RC modeling, is there more races around the area or somewhere they can go to get information?
Sure. You would go to rcunlimiteds.com, and the RC Unlimited's one word. that would have all the information on our club information, what classes we run. We run 1/10 scale electric, we run 1/6 scale gas, 1/8 scale FE, and 1/8 scale fast electric. If you're from the Tri-Cities, you can always look up Bill Brandt. He owns his online hobby shop, which is allrc.com. We would have all the information. We could visit with you and chat with you about getting into the sport.
All right, very good. Thank you, Dave.
You bet.
All right. So I'm here talking with the 2019 electric 1/8 scale champion from RC Unlimiteds, Rob Brackett. And Rob, where are you from?
Tri-Cities, Washington.
And Rob, how long have you been racing models?
Since I was 13, so it would have been early 90s when I started.
Early 90s.
Okay.
And what model do you race currently?
Right now, I currently race the 2008 Formula Boats U5 with the U7 Falcon in Nitro.
All right. And you won the race today with your Formula Boats.
Yeah.
And can you just tell us a little bit about how the race went?
It was a little hectic at the start, but after that, we were able to get out in front and kind of set the pace at that point in time. We got a good push from Jim Britton and the Pringles, and we were racing for a pretty good pace for 4 laps. He put some good pressure on me down the straightaways. We'd gain a little on the corners, come out. And then coming into turns 1 and 2, I think it was for the 4th lap, he wound up cutting a buoy, costing him a lap. So it gave me a little bit of leeway to kind of cruise it around after that. So it was kind of a nice, comforting run in from there.
All right. Sounds like it was a really fun, exciting win.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And you've been doing this for a long time. So what keeps you doing the models and what got you into it?
My dad's been doing it since 1974, I believe, is when he built his first model. Ran down to California, and then he came up here and raced with Roger for several decades, I believe, or a couple decades.
Oh, yeah.
And then we stepped out for a few years and then decided to get back into it with the electrics back in 2011, and been doing it ever since.
All right. And how many members do you currently have in the club?
Right now, they're averaging right around 40 to 50 boats with all 4 classes up and running. Numbers I don't know exactly total on the club. I think it's in the 100 and something total.
Yeah, so there's a good amount of people. And,
absolutely. I think largest scale club in the world.
Right.
So.
And so what's the number one best part of racing models with the club?
For me, it's the family and the friends. Getting out, being able to see people on a regular basis every couple of weeks throughout the spring, summer, fall. But getting to hang out with your family is definitely a cool thing. Getting to race and enjoy the experience with them is what we're here for.
All right, well, fantastic. And great job today.
Thank you.
All right. By the way, these boats they're not your average ready-to-run boats that you could buy off the shelf at your hobby store. They're all custom-built boats. They are made from some of the same ingredients or parts that the real boats are made out of. They use fiberglass, carbon fiber, honeycomb, wood, plywood, some exotic Kevlar, lots of different materials that they use to build these models, and they're pretty quick. They can go over 60 miles per hour. Some have even gotten closer to the high 60s and even 70 miles an hour. They're fast boats, and they sure are a hoot to race and to watch, and they put on just a great show. As I said earlier, this has been a large part of my life. My father, Roger Newton, was instrumental in some of the clubs in the area, as well as promoting the hobby of scale hydroplane racing. So I think I owe it to him and to several of you out there to do a show about them later, have a podcast about RC hydroplanes, scale racing, because there's a lot of great things with those clubs that are in the area and the boats themselves. We're lucky here in Washington. We have some great scale radio-controlled clubs, including Classic Thunder, RC Unlimiteds, ERCU. The district has District 8, and NAMBA has a club here, as well as another electric club, and they race all around the state of Washington. But there's many other clubs out there in the United States and around the world. There's RC scale racing in New Zealand, even Canada, all around the United States, Germany. So there's a lot of people out there that enjoy these things, and they're tons of fun. So let's do that. Let's have another podcast about that later on, and discuss that in more detail. Maybe I can bring on a guest to help me talk about that. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed part one of our two-part Columbia Cup special. I know I had a lot of fun at the Columbia Cup this year. It's always a great time for me. It's a vacation to see friends, get out in some warm or really hot weather. You can always count on that. But it was some absolutely great racing. I'm really excited to talk more about the racing in the next episode. We're going to break down the action of the race, some of the heat races, and the fantastic final heat that I got to witness in person, and hopefully you got to watch on live streaming if you weren't able to be there in person. So look for that. We're going to have that part 2 of the Columbia Cup special be released in a couple days here this week before Seafair. I'll also be talking a little bit about Seafair and some of my predictions. I know some of the predictions I had for Columbia Cup weren't true, but I did nail a couple of them on the head, so we'll see what I have to say about that. But just so I know that you're listening out there, please hit that subscribe button to subscribe to my podcast, Roostertail Talk. When you subscribe to Roostertail Talk on your podcast player, you'll get notifications of new episodes. Also, don't forget to check us out on social media for updates and hydroplane news. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's all I got. So until next time, I hope to see you at the races.